I talked about this before. Mikey Healy and Danny Healy brought it up in Dáil Éireann, and I was kind of just thinking about it here. So obviously, from September, majority of towns over 10,000 populations, Cavan Town for example, is a perfect example. Lockwood Town, Monaghan Town, big towns, big settlers with big populations, was subject, really to a ban on coed, only coed, non-smokeless coed. Anything that's anything like only cough or tough or anything like that, would not be allowed to be bought, and you'd be fined for it. And it is the job of the local authorities and the guards to enforce it in them towns. But again, you have to only burn smokeless coal, and again, I don't know how they would tell. I might tell you straight, and I'm telling you somebody in the local. I don't know how we would tell. I don't know. I really don't know. Um, but again, this is the thing. As again, there's a fuel allowance. Obviously, you can get a fuel allowance for older people and people on social welfare or disabilities or whatever. Um, but again, the increase to 5 year, you might say that's nice to the government. But again, guess what they did? Guess what Eamon Ryan and the Green Party did to older people who were, sitting in their houses with no fire or not, with nothing to keep themselves warm. They upped the price on coal. They brought in, upped the prices on only coal and turf and briquettes and whatever, and oil and everything. They upped the prices. They upped it, the carbon tax. They upped it. Very upped it. So they give you 5 year and they took away more. If that makes any sense, it's a great country. They give you money out and then they take it away and then they charge you extra. Democracy, God, it's a great country. That's all can be said. And they're probably born in every tough in the country up in Dáil Éireann. I wouldn't be surprised. The biggest hypocrites going in Dáil Éireann. Or some of them anyway. But yeah, this is the thing Eamon Ryan and the rest of them don't understand. People can't afford to be going around, because again, bag of smokeless coal is pretty dear. Again, Cavan people, but it is pretty dear. It is pretty dear compared to if you have the local bar, local tough, local bog beside you, where you could get your tough or your tough or whatever. And the coal is, you could buy it. I remember the time you could buy a bag of coal for good. There was a place you could get it for €8. You probably wouldn't get it for that now. They probably shut it down and everything now. But again, it's the thing about rural Ireland. It's not going to affect Dublin or Cork or the big cities, Cavan, even Cavan Town, for example. It's going to affect the man and the old man in the cottage, down the road in Donegal, probably Donegal, Kerry, Galway, rural parts, really rural parts of Ireland, back ends of nowhere, if you may use that word, or even the islands around Ireland, the Aran Islands, Tory Island, different islands, the old style living down in them parts, and obviously they'll be born in Turf and Coa, and again, again, this is the thing they can't understand, that everybody can't just afford to, buy smokeless coal. And I know people might say, it's good for the environment, it's good for people's health. And to a certain extent, I would say, yes, of course it is good for people's health, especially people's health, because I remember the time when I was growing up, there was a good lot of chimneys, and you would choke a bit. You would, I'm not going to lie to you, you would choke a bit with all the smoke in the air. Especially as young people's lungs, is, when you were younger, when I was a lot younger, you would cough and splutter a bit when you were around a lot of chimneys. But I can understand that. I can see that from a certain aspect. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, if you get what I'm saying, not like in the towns or that, like in the middle of the countryside, with barely anybody, like this house is in Cavan, and the other side over near Ballygym stuff, Ballyconnor, sorry, not Ballygym stuff, and even Butters Bridge here where I am, this house is out in the countryside outside Butters Bridge that are could be 3 or 4 kilometers away from each other, up back roads, up very very back roads. That's going to do no harm to anybody. And again, as I often say, and I say this to Eamon Ryan, why are they not going after China? China burns hundreds upon thousands of pieces of plastic a day. And it's pumped into big black, big chimneys, big black smoke going up into the atmosphere. And I don't see that in Ireland. I might say I don't see big companies pumping out big black smoke 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, using foreign, using slave labour, in other words, in China, forcing their own people to sweat to death. I don't see that here. At least I'm thankful that doesn't happen here. But again, they never went after China for this. Like, China's the biggest cause of this. dumping plastic into the ocean, nuclear waste into the oceans and everything like that, and nothing's been said. And then they're going after a few people for lighting fire in Ireland. It doesn't make much sense, does it? I would be technically, if I was Taoiseach, I would say, why can we not go after China and annoy the head of China? But again, European Union, World Health Organization, none of them, they don't want to know. They really, the G4 and that, they don't want to know. They don't want to know about what China's up to. Do they care? Probably not, but not likely, because the only thing they see in China is profit. And that's all they care about at the end of the day, is money. But again, as I always say, there'll be some people saying, it does matter. We have to make a change in the atmosphere. We have to make a change in global warming and things like that. But I understand that. But again, the way I'm looking at this, if 3 or 4 people, like not many people now has the fire lit, not many people in towns, villages, for example, but outside the towns and villages, there'd be people out in the fires. Let's put it this way: I don't think it would blow up the world, if 3 or 4 people light the fires. Let's put it that way. It will ignite the world, probably blow up the world if China keeps getting away with what they're getting away with. But again, Eamon Ryan doesn't care about that. But yeah, the only thing the government see in this is money, extra money for them, for their sleeping beds or whatever. But yeah, take care everybody, and let me know what you take it. Because again, I know there'll be some people saying, it is for the greater good, and I understand that to some extent. But you have to look at it in other words too, as I mentioned there. That's just my opinion on it, that we should be going after China, and not going after a few people who light a fire. I don't think that's going to make a big difference, but I think what they're doing in China is making the big difference to the planet. And I think that's where we should start before we go barging down old people's doors. That's just my opinion, because again, I know Eamon would disagree with me. He wants to go barging down people's doors. But yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe for more and take care.